Hi everyone. Imagine, 1650, Amsterdam. A crowd gathers on the quay, whispering curses and prayers. Shipbuilders refuse to enter the hold. Captains cross themselves as they look at the plans. But Dutch merchants are rubbing their hands with glee. Why? Because they had just launched a new ship, one that would help turn the Netherlands into the terror of the seas in the 17th century. Its name, Prins Willem. This vessel wasn't just another ship. It was a floating warehouse packed to the brim, yet somehow faster than many warships of its time. Just 51 meters long, about the length of 3 buses, but with a burthen of around 1,200 tons. English warships of similar size could barely carry 300 tons of cargo. The Prins Willem could load nearly twice that: pepper, silk, tin, and other treasures from the east. Its greatest weapon wasn't cannons, it was ruthless efficiency. The most terrifying thing about her was the decks. The headroom between them was often barely more than 1.5 meters. Even though people were shorter back then, sailors still had to move around bent over or even crawling in places. Why such torture? To squeeze in every possible layer of cargo. This made the ship top-heavy, so the Dutch added dozens of tons of ballast in the hold, including heavy lead and stones, to keep her stable. So why did the VOC build such floating monsters? The secret lay in her design, a flat bottom and nearly straight sides. Unlike the rounded Spanish galleons, the Prins Willem could sail into shallow river mouths, unload straight into barges, and beat against the wind with ease. English sailors hated the Dutch for it. They said the Hollanders spat on the waves and laughed at the wind. And strangely enough, pirates in the Indian Ocean rarely bothered with ships like the Prins Willem. Why? Because she was no ordinary merchantman, she was a floating fortress. Even in peacetime she carried 24 to 26 guns, a large crew of experienced sailors and soldiers, and thick oak hulls. Capturing such a giant could cost a pirate fleet dearly. And the prize might not even be worth it. On top of that, long VOC voyages were infamous for their deadly toll. Scurvy, dysentery, and typhus regularly ravaged the crews. By the time a ship reached Batavia or returned to Europe, many men were already weak or dying. Pirates knew that even if they took the ship, there might be too few healthy hands left to sail her. But if you survived the voyage, a fortune awaited back home. A single successful round trip from Batavia could bring the VOC profits equal to the value of the ship itself, sometimes even more. Ordinary sailors earned several times what their English counterparts made. And if the precious cargo of spices, porcelain, and indigo arrived safely, the captain could receive generous rewards, sometimes even land in Amsterdam. The Prins Willem completed 5 successful round trips to the East Indies, an impressive achievement for a wooden ship of that era. But the most incredible thing about the Prins Willem is a simple piece of paper that hung in the VOC offices. Because this ship belonged to the Dutch East India Company, the organization that made long-distance seafaring democratic. Before 1602, only kings and the richest merchant families could afford to send a fleet to Asia. The Dutch changed the rules forever. The VOC issued shares with a nominal value of 3,000 guilders. Sounds expensive? They made it possible for ordinary people to participate by allowing smaller investments. Soon, even someone with just 50 guilders could buy a piece of the company. It was as if today you could buy a tiny fraction of Amazon with your pocket money. And the Dutch bought them like hotcakes. Widows invested their dowries. Brewers' guilds put in their profits. Orphanages invested the money of their wards. By the mid-17th century, a significant portion of Dutch households owned VOC shares. And here's where it gets really interesting with our ship. The Prins Willem was built when VOC shares were already being actively traded on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, the first stock exchange in the world. Share prices fluctuated constantly. Imagine the excitement. Newspapers would report that the Prins Willem had loaded 800 bales of pepper in Batavia. The next day, VOC shares could jump 5%. If news came that a ship had run aground, the price would drop just as sharply. Why weren't people afraid to invest? Because the VOC paid excellent dividends. Over its nearly 200-year existence, the company delivered an average annual dividend of around 18%. That is an extraordinary return. A single successful round trip by a ship like the Prins Willem could repay the entire cost of the vessel. Shareholders received not only cash, sometimes they were paid in spices. Imagine owning a small share of a ship and a courier bringing a sack of nutmeg straight to your door. The Prins Willem was one of the most people's ships of its time. According to surviving documents, a large part of its cargo belonged not to the rich magistrates, but to ordinary shareholders, weavers, shoemakers, and barbers. She didn't just sail under the VOC flag, she became a living symbol of the world's first popular IPO. Every creak of her timbers echoed as the sound of coins in the pockets of thousands of people who had never even seen the sea. When the First Anglo-Dutch War began in 1652, the Dutch took a bold step. They converted one of the finest trading ships of the East India Company, the Prins Willem, into a warship and made her a flagship. On decks that had recently been stacked with sacks of pepper and nutmeg, they rolled heavy cannons. The merchantman was quickly transformed into a powerful warship armed with around 40 guns. On October 8, 1652, at the Battle of Kentish Knock, it was from the deck of the Prins Willem that Vice Admiral Wittede issued orders to the Dutch squadron. The English fleet, commanded by Robert Blake, made better use of its heavy artillery and held a more advantageous position. After a fierce but unequal battle, the Dutch were forced to withdraw. The Battle of Kentish Knock ended in victory for the English. The Prins Willem was badly damaged but remained afloat. Despite the defeat, the Dutch fleet was not destroyed and soon put to sea again. But the end of the Prins Willem came during a violent storm in the Indian Ocean on February 11, 1662. The ship was returning home to the Netherlands as part of a VOC fleet from Batavia. 7 ships had departed on December 23, 1661. They sailed together until a powerful storm struck on February 11. 4 ships, including the Prins Willem, were lost. The remaining 3 survived and later brought news of the disaster. Almost 350 years later, in the mid-1980s, the Dutch built a full-scale replica of the ship. And that's when the problems began. The new version turned out to be far less stable than the original, requiring significantly more ballast to keep her upright. It was a striking reminder that 17th-century shipwrights possessed an almost intuitive understanding of balance and hull design that modern builders had to rediscover through trial and error. Sadly, the story of the replica ended in tragedy. On the night of July 30, 2009, in Den Helder, the ship caught fire due to an electrical short circuit. Within hours, the entire wooden superstructure was destroyed. The masts collapsed one by one as firefighters could only watch and prevent the flames from spreading to the shore. So what was the Prins Willem? It was the perfect embodiment of the Dutch Golden Age, practical, incredibly profitable, dangerous to its own crew, and always walking a fine line between triumph and catastrophe. Thanks for watching.